Ava's eyes snapped open to a thunderous crack. The cryopod cracked down the center like a coffin being pried apart from the inside. Red strobe lights pulsed through the shattered glass, casting her soaked skin in rhythmic bloodlight. For a moment, her mind was blank. No name, no purpose, no memory. Then the pain came. She gasped, pulling at the oxygen mask fused to her face. Skin blistered from the emergency defrost. The air was hot, metallic, and tasted of burned wires and blood. Around her, the ship was a tomb-charred corridors, smashed consoles. Walls buckled inward, like the Asteria had collided with a god. Her cryopod was the only one open. The others remained sealed, cracked, or hollow. Crew status. All units offline. The ship's AI stuttered through a dying speaker. Voice glitching. Warning. Hull breach. Main reactor. Unstable. She stumbled out, barefoot on broken glass. Slipping on something wet. Blood. Human. No screams. No footsteps. No response. Hello? She called out, voice hoarse. Is anyone? A burst of static hissed through her gums. Then, a voice cracked, low, barely audible. Ava, if you're hearing this, you're all that's left. She staggered forward, gripping the jagged frame of the command deck, eyes wide. Captain Ellis, I locked this message. In the core systems, they came while we slept. Varan ships ambushed us out of FTL. They weren't supposed to find us. We thought we were safe. ... Ava dropped to her knees, trying to breathe as memory flickered back. She remembered the mission. She remembered the war. The Viren, merciless alien invaders. Not conquerors. They didn't enslave. They deleted. Whole colonies, cultures, entire planetary systems gone, in waves of light and gravity. Humanity's defenses had collapsed in under a year. The Asteria was part of the Exodus fleet, fleeing deep space in cryo until the war passed. Earth found a way to fight back. They hadn't. I'm sorry, Ava, Ellis continued, his voice beginning to shake. They got us all. You're the last. And you're more than you think. You are the backup. The final copy. Ava's breath hitched. Copy of what? But the message was already ending. They'll come back to finish it. Don't let them. You must survive. You are the defense. Then silence. She stood slowly, heart pounding, throat dry. Through the broken window, the stars looked colder than she remembered, voids in a sea of nothing. She was alone. But why did Ellis say she was a backup? A backup of what? She staggered toward the AI terminal, its interface flickering and sparking. Show me the archive, she commanded, voice trembling. The screen struggled to light up, but a message blinked in soft gold. Project, Remembrance, eyes only Ava-1. Her name. She tapped it, the file loaded, and what she saw chilled her soul. It was her. A recording, older, thinner eyes, lined with exhaustion and grief. Hello, me, the hologram said. I don't have time to explain everything, but you need to understand this. You're not just Ava, you're all of us. I volunteered, the older her said, to become the Ark. My mind holds a neural archive of Earth-hour history, science, cultures, music, languages. Memories from hundreds of people, compressed into my consciousness, into your consciousness. If you're watching this, then the Viren won, and I'm gone. Ava's knees buckled. She fell into the pilot's chair, hands shaking. Her body felt foreign now. Her mind was full of ghosts. You are the last living memory of humanity. The recording continued. You're not a soldier. You're not a hero. You're a story. And stories are what survive. Behind her, something shifted. The proximity scanner crackled to life. Multiple objects, approaching fast. She turned toward. The cracked radar red blips appeared like a virus blooming across the screen. Viren ships, a dozen, maybe more. No, she whispered. She wasn't ready. She didn't remember how to fight. She didn't even know how to fly this ship. But inside her, somewhere in the mess of pain and confusion, something stirred. A fire not her own, a child's memory running through the fields of New Ireland, a physicist laughing over spilled coffee in orbit, a soldier humming a lullaby while dying on Titan's red dunes. Voices not hers, yet they lived in her chest. Her fingers moved instinctively, calling up ancient protocols, her ancestors, her people. She wasn't just Ava. She was humanity, and she would not go quietly. She reached for the controls. You wanted a fight, she growled. Then come and see what memory can do. The ship lurched as Ava throttled the manual override, guiding the broken hulk of the Asteria through a nearby debris field. Chunks of old hull plating and asteroid fragments spun like a metallic storm-perfect cover. If she could thread the needle. The Viren were behind her, fast, precise, beautiful, in a horrifying way. Sleek and silver, like blades forged in a black star's fire. They didn't communicate, didn't warn, they simply erased. The Asteria screamed in protest as she pulled a sharp dive, weaving through a jagged wall of asteroid fragments. One Viren ship clipped a spire of rock and shattered, like glass under pressure. The others adjusted course without emotion, no fear, no hesitation, just function. Ava gritted her teeth. I need more than instinct, she muttered. I need answers. She slammed a hand onto the cracked console, dragging up the archive, labeled Project Remembrance. She had barely scratched the surface in her last dive through the files. Somewhere in those layers, somewhere inside Hero, was the reason. Ellis called her the last defense. Data streamed down the interface, entire civilizations compressed into milliseconds. A flash of code danced across her vision and then a sharp, sudden pain pulsed behind her eyes. Her body slumped. Her mind was yanked inward, darkness and din flooding her like broken dam water. A child playing in a rainstorm, barefoot in mud, a poet whispering verses beneath Saturn's rings. A girl with glowing hands teaching quantum strings to sing, a soldier in blood-soaked armor, screaming at the sky. Thousands of lives, thousands of moments. All hers. She gasped and opened her eyes. The pain receded. Her vision sharpened, and now she knew. Not just memory, not just history, combat protocols, ship schematics, stealth algorithms, a blueprint of human survival. Etched into her neural map, Ava was a living archive, a bleeding, gasping, human weapon made of memory, and she wasn't alone in her mind anymore. The AI of the Asteria, crippled but clinging to life, crackled through the speakers. Ava, emergency power failing. You must, I know, she cut in, fingers flying over the controls with newfound clarity. I'm not just flying, I'm remembering how to win. The debris field ended, giving way to open void. One Viren scout surged ahead, plasma cannons charging. Ava blinked. Suddenly she remembered an ancient Terran fighter maneuver, the Phoenix Spiral. It was impossible. No ship could handle the strain. She pulled it anyway. The Asteria spun into a death roll, looping back in a tight corkscrew. Her stomach flipped, metal groaned. But the plasma blast missed her by inches and her countermissiles slammed directly into the Viren's underbelly. The enemy ship exploded, fire dancing across the black. She grinned through the nausea. Phoenix still flies. But the celebration died quickly. More Viren ships uncloaked 3, 4, 5 flanking her from all sides. She didn't have the firepower. Not yet. She dove the ship downward and began a desperate burn toward a nearby moon. The Asteria's AI flickered again. Ava, the data in your mind, it contains the prototype. What prototype? She demanded, banking hard left, EMP core. Designed at the end of the war, never deployed. Can disable TECH, but untested. Ava's breath caught. That's why the data was put inside her. Not just to preserve humanity, but to strike back. She called up the hidden file. There it was, Buried in neural encryption, a sequence designed to trigger the EMP device in the ship's core. But it came with a warning. Use of EMP will disable all systems including life support. Survival unlikely. Her heart pounded. To kill the enemy, she might have to die. She hesitated only a moment. Then she whispered, "Override the safeties. Prep the pulse." Acknowledged. The ship's engines began to hum unnaturally, a low, building growl like thunder echoing through steel. The Viren ships moved to intercept. Plasma lit the void. Ava turned toward the black, defiant. "If I'm the last, then you'll remember me." She hit the trigger. Light exploded from the Asteria, like a star being born. A pulse of raw force swept out in every direction, one by one. The Viren ships froze mid-flight, their weapons dying, their hulls blackening as their systems shorted. They hung in space like corpses, lifeless, empty. Ava collapsed back into her seat as the lights flickered out completely. No power, no power, no engines. No air. Darkness closed in like a fist. But she smiled. Even in the cold silence of death, her memory had become a weapon. She floated, weightless, breathless, cold. Darkness pressed in, thick and smothering, like the vacuum outside had seeped through the walls and into her skin. The Asteria was dead, just another ghost ship adrift in the stars. No hum of power, number, artificial gravity, just the stillness of dying. Ava's limbs barely responded. Her fingers twitched, numb and blue. Her lungs begged for more oxygen, but there was none left. The EMP had done its job, crippling the Viren ships and wiping out every last circuit on board the Asteria, including life support. She blinked slowly. Her eyes burned. Her thoughts were fading into static. So, this is it. She'd won, but it wasn't a victory anyone would see. No one would hear her name. No one would remember. Except a faint ping echoed through her skull, not through her ears, through her implant, an ancient human distress beacon. It came from deep inside the neural core, embedded in her spine. It had triggered automatically, her biological failsafe designed to fire only once. When death was near, it was old, weak, but it was still broadcasting somewhere, in the endless dark. Her scream was echoing, and someone heard it. A thud shook the ship, soft and distant. Then another, and another. Ava barely managed to turn her head, light, pale, and alien. Carving through the airlock, she tried to move. Couldn't. The door cracked open, and a figure stepped through. Tall, lithe, insectoid, but upright, skin-like, burnished silver, eyes glowing violet. A Viren, but not like the others. This one was different. It didn't fire, didn't erase. It knelt beside her, examined her. Its voice came through a translator patch, stitched directly into its chest. "You are the signal, the memory vessel." Ava couldn't speak. Her lips trembled with the effort. Her heartbeat was a dull, irregular knock in her ears. The Viren tilted its head. "You have something. We've lost." Then, gently it placed a hand over her temple. Connection established. Her neural implant whispered, then flashes data streamed into the alien mind. Not numbers or blueprints, memories. A wedding beneath Earth's falling cherry blossoms. A child tracing constellations on the ceiling of a starship. An old man whispering a lullaby on Europa. Alone but smiling. All of humanity. The joy, the sorrow, the beauty. The alien shuddered. It pulled back, staggered. "Your species is chaos," it whispered. "Pain, color, noise, and meaning." Ava, through fading breath, managed a whisper. "What are you?" The Viren bowed its head. "One of the first. Before the change. We were organic once. Before we surrendered to machine logic. Memory was deemed inefficient, emotion obsolete. We became perfect. We thought." It stood and looked around at the ruined bridge. "Your pulse freed my core from the hive. I am myself again. A fracture in the system. The words barely made sense. But Ava understood the core truth. The Viren weren't just machines. They were once people, stripped of what made them alive, and her memories reminded them. Why, help me, she breathed. Because I remembered my own daughter, it replied softly. When I saw your pain. It turned, placing a thin hand over the bulkhead. Blue light flickered from its palm. Somehow, power flowed again. Life support groaned too. Life? The ship coughed, hissed, and oxygen returned. Ava gasped as air surged into her lungs. She choked, coughed, and breathed. Tears ran down her cheeks. The alien stepped back, its voice tight. We must go. They will come soon. The hive is aware of my break. If they capture you, they will erase all. Ava stood on shaking legs, leaning against the console. Where do we go? The Viren extended a hand, to the core of the hive, where it all began. We end it together. She stared at that hand, once the symbol of death. Now a bridge made of memory. She took it. Let's finish this. And behind them, through the cracked viewport, the dead ships floated silently in space, forgotten wrecks from a war that had just turned, because one human remembered, and now, one Viren did too. The stolen Viren scout ship shimmered like liquid metal against the vast black of space. Sleek, curved, and impossibly silent, it slipped past the remnants of the destroyed fleet without a trace. Ava sat strapped into a hub-backed seat that adjusted with the slightest motion, her hands hovering over alien controls. Across from her, the Viren who had saved her designation, 717, piloted the ship like it was an extension of thought. Every now and then Ava would glance at him. He never blinked. Didn't need to. But she could feel something inside him had changed. And so had she. Approaching origin sector, Kel said, voice soft and modulated. Hive Prime awaits. Ava's mouth went dry. Hive Prime, the central intelligence of the Viren collective, the system that had consumed organic life, digitized thought, and purged memory across 1,000 galaxies. It was the beginning and it had to be the end. She leaned forward. You said the core was deep within a dead star. Yes, an artificial singularity wrapped around compressed data. If we reach the interior, you can inject your archive. But I'll die, she whispered. Cole was silent. You knew that from the start. Yes. She exhaled shakily, resting her forehead against the smooth surface of the console. Her heartbeat thudded like a slow war drum. You know, I'm not afraid to die, she murmured. But I'm afraid it won't be enough. It will be, Cole said. They fear what you carry. They fear remembering. She turned to him, a bitter smile on her lips. You mean they fear feeling? Exactly. The ship shuddered. They passed through a gravity well that made her teeth ache. Outside, Hive Prime began to take shape, an immense sphere orbiting the core of a burnt star, rings of ancient debris circling it like frozen screams. It pulsed, alive with machine thought. Ava's breath caught. How do we get in? We don't, Cole said. You do. The ship's floor opened, revealing a narrow sleek, organic capsule designed to pierce the hive's exterior. Ava stared at it, her body numb. There's no coming back from this, is there? No, Cole said. But the data I injected into their system, they will feel what they've forgotten, he said. The pain of their past, the beauty of yours. It will fracture the hive, possibly destroy it. She stepped forward and placed her palm on the pod. It pulsed beneath her touch, reading her biometrics, accepting her as a seed. Cole approached. Quietly. You don't have to say anything, but I will anyway, she said. You saved me. Not just my life. You gave me a reason to use it. His mechanical eyes flickered. I only remembered because you made me feel. Ava stepped into the pod. The interior was warm, strangely peaceful, like a cradle, like a tomb. The hatch began to seal. Wait, she said suddenly. There's one last file. I want to give it to you. Cole hesitated. To me. She smiled. It's a story about a boy who looked at the stars and saw home instead of fear. She placed a finger against his wrist. Data. Transferred a sliver of her memory archive. Encrypted into a single thread of emotion. Keep it safe, she said. I will. The pod sealed. Ava closed her eyes. The injection system buzzed to life. She could feel the pulse of the ship behind her, and the infinite weight of memory pressing against her mind. She whispered, "Begin transfer." The pod launched, like a bullet of light. It screamed through space, diving toward the heart of Hive Prime. Alarms blared. Defense systems activated. Turrets tracked her descent. She never wavered. Inside the pod, her mind opened completely. All the voices, all the faces, the children of Earth, the whispers of Jupiter monks, the lullabies of Andean farmers, the music of forgotten stars. She let it all pour into the core. The first firewall cracked, then another. She hit the outer membrane of the hive. Pain, heat, data slamming back at her. She pushed harder. Inside the heart of the machine she planted a human soul, and the system screamed. Hive Prime convulsed. Entire sectors went dark. Ships stuttered and failed. Deep in the code, something ancient stirred, something buried beneath centuries of silence. Memory, emotion, grief, love, the Varen hive, born to erase, suddenly remembered what it meant to exist, and it broke. Back aboard the stolen scout ship, KL watched the explosion ripple outward, silent waves of energy tearing through systems, corrupting the core. Hive Prime imploded in slow, graceful collapse. Not with fury, but with release. Khal felt something move inside him. A warmth. A tear slid down his cheek. The core of Hive Prime collapsed in on itself like a dying breath, silent and slow. No massive explosion, no blinding light, just a graceful implosion, like a final exhale after a lifetime of holding it in. Cole stood at the edge of the observation dome, the curve of the cracked star behind him, its pale light flickering across his silver skin. He watched as the waves of energy rolled outwards, subtle, beautiful, and final. And with them, she was gone. Ava, the last memory of Earth, the last voice of humanity, the woman who carried an entire species inside her soul, and gave it away, so something else could live. Not just live, feel. All across the hive-linked systems of the Viren, fractures appeared. Ships shut down mid-flight, facilities dimmed, cold logic fragmented. Some tried to reboot, others simply stopped. The Viren, once a singular will, became thousands of confused, disconnected minds. Organic. Free. Terrified, Chell's hand trembled. He wasn't just watching a war end, he was watching a beginning behind him. The scout ship's AI flickered. Back to life, unstable, damaged, but clinging to power. Core sequence complete, it said. Hive intelligence disrupted. Memory transmission confirmed. Source signal lost. He closed his eyes. Lost but not forgotten, never forgotten. He reached into the neural interface on his forearm and activated the data she gave him. A small file. One thread among billions. It unraveled in his mind like silk. A boy with dark eyes staring out a broken window at a polluted sky. A voice, his mother's, telling him Earth was more than the dirt under his feet. It was every story ever told, every tear, every smile, every fight to matter. Call saw Earth through her eyes. Not perfect, but beautiful, flawed, fragile, brilliant, human, and now extinct, unless he chose otherwise. He turned to the nav controls and rerouted the ship, not to a station, not to a Varen sanctuary, but to the stars beyond. There were colonies out there, hiding, starving, lost. There were humans out there, and they would need to know. They would need the stories. Cole was not Ava, he was not human, but he remembered, and Memory now was all that mattered. 2 years later, the ship touched down on a windswept plateau beneath a pale sky. Children ran toward it, eyes wide. They wore cobbled clothing, lived in dust-covered shelters, and called themselves the Leftovers. They had never seen a Viren before. Most turned to run, but one girl, a red scarf trailing behind her, stood her ground. Khal stepped out, unarmed. He knelt before her and extended a data crystal, glowing faint blue. "What is it?" she asked. He looked at her gently. "A story," he said, "of a woman who carried a world in her mind." The girl blinked. "Is it true?" He smiled, a flicker of grief hidden beneath his eyes. Every word. They led him to the camp. The elders listened. He uploaded the archive, and when they asked who had saved them, he only said one name: Ava. They whispered it like a prayer, not as a weapon, not as a soldier, but as a memory. An orbite signal pinged from deep within the wreckage of the Asteria, buried under metal and silence. One last message, corrupted, fragmented, but intact. Ava's voice: "If you're hearing this, then it worked. And if it worked, tell them." A long pause. "Tell them we were here. Tell them we loved. Tell them we mattered." Because in the end, memory was the last defense, and she made it eternal.